This is a presentation of Northeast Streaming Sports. You're listening to TGI Sports Talk with your host Keith Angle on Northeast Streaming Sports.
Good morning, everybody. Keith Angle, TGI Sports Talk, Sunday, Stream of Consciousness. And I'm glad to be back. It's been a tough road here this week. Been, as you know, from some of my posts, I came down with a pretty good case of COVID out of the blue. Really didn't expect it. I don't know how to explain it. And I need your guys' help today. I didn't make it into the studio today or get the studio up, whatever you want to describe it. But I am on camera and we are here. So hopefully you guys can help me along and we can discuss the topics of the day because we've missed a lot since we've been gone. And guys, don't get this because it's not a lot of fun. And now I got to hope I don't get the rebound here in the next 7 days or so because of the Paxlovid I was on. Very little chance. Feeling much better. Thank you. Still very... I lose my voice here and there, and I'm still very fatigued. Get out of breath easy. I tried to do a few things around the outside of the house yesterday. My wife came out screaming at me. We got music playing, hey? And but anyway, we're doing much better, and I'm happy to be back because I've missed you guys, and we got a lot to talk about. We'll get into the World Series, and congrats to the Astros and Dusty Baker. We'll talk a little bit of other news around Major League Baseball. We'll talk a lot of college football today as we missed the college football huddle this week as well. We'll talk NFL and take a look at where we are at, again, the unreachable halfway point. And I want to talk just a little bit, not to tick off Kenny Gifford, but we'll talk a little bit of NBA. And look, because I got a riff on Kyrie Irving today. And we'll get into your topics. Anything you guys want to talk about. I'm so happy to be back. And I've missed you guys. And I appreciate all the thoughts and good wishes that I've gotten over the good morning, Alan, over the last week or so. Listen, people go through a lot worse than I have. And some people that I know very well and very close to. This was not the end of the world. Just a tremendous freaking inconvenience. My gosh. So thank you. Welcome back. Thank you, Drew. Good to be back. We'll start with baseball since you're on with us early, and then we'll go to some college football. Good morning, CA. Good to have you with us. And Rick Sherlock. It's amazing what rubbing a little dirt on it and walking it off could do. Rick and I have been joking about, I often will pretend I'm not injured. Well, I didn't want to be sick. I was trying to will myself not to be sick for about 2 days before I got sick. And I've been trying to will myself better since. And I worked this week on and off. I didn't work full days, Monday and Tuesday especially. But there's things that just had to be done. And I didn't feel comfortable just not doing them. So I slept, worked. Jordan, what? I'm not. You got. I do have a little COVID fog still going on here, so fill me in on what that is, CA. Al's coming off a 9-hour shift. Hates the time change. You know what? I hate it. I got to tell you, we'll talk about the time change real quick since this is our Stream of Consciousness show. My wife loves this day. I hate it because I know it's going to be dark at 4:30 today, and I'm going to be all pissed off. I love the one in the spring where they changes and I lose an hour. I get it, but I get more sunlight because I am not good without sunlight. Good morning, Anthony Price. Good to see you. Bill Bush, I am feeling better. We're glad to be back. Good to have you here with us. And I'm not 100%. I'll be the first to admit that, but we're making good progress. Tested negative yesterday, by the way, so test again tomorrow, and 48 hours apart, we'll be in good shape. So we'll talk. The way you were feeling is probably equivalent to how Clemson played last night. Listen, I had been on a roll. I think I told you guys our last time together in the cigar box, and it's all gone to hell. I lost 3 out of 4 games yesterday. I won a Kentucky game. I lost Tennessee +9. Oh, we'll get into that game in a little bit. Lost Alabama -14.5. Oh my God. We'll talk about that game. And I lost on Clemson. I bet Clemson. Anyway, we'll talk college football in a little bit. I want to get into the 3-run home run. Oh, Jordan Alvarez. Yes, sorry. I didn't know. I don't call him he's not a first name type of guy yet to me. CA. So yes, listen, let's jump into Major League Baseball first, guys, and we can jump around today if we have to. Drew hasn't been with us in a little bit, so we're glad to have Drew back, and let's jump in. Let's recap. I have no idea where my, there we go. I want to congratulate the Houston Astros. Please don't talk to me about you hate the cheaters and blah, blah, blah. There's like 2 guys left on the entire team. I know they're integral guys. Who cares? First of all, the whole cheating thing was overblown, and Dusty Baker deserves this win. Dusty Baker with over 2,000 Major League wins, his first World Series victory. He'd been to one other with the Giants, I believe. Yes, he was with Barry Bonds at 73 home runs, I think. But he deserves this, and it's going to be his ticket to the Hall of Fame. Now, it's funny, and I just said this on the Mac and Jack show, and we'll talk about this more in the college football side. I almost feel hypocritical because as much as I advocate for expanding college football playoffs to 12, I even want to go to 16 teams, I'm ticked off. No disrespect to the Phillies and what they did here in the postseason, but I don't want the 11th best team in baseball winning the World Series. Now, it's a little bit different in college football because everybody doesn't play everybody. You don't really know who the best team is maybe until they play off against each other. In baseball, though, you're playing 162 games. I don't need the 11th best team winning. I just don't. No disrespect to the Phillies. They did a remarkable thing. I have all kinds of respect for Rob Thompson. I'm so happy he was able to get this job after, being a baseball lifer and getting the Phillies to where he did, getting the full-time gig now. But I didn't want to see him win. Sorry, Jamie Paggs, but I just didn't. And I think Houston just showed they had a better team all around. I wish I had the meme about the no-hitter, by the way. If I could find it quickly, I would share it with you guys. But there was this meme about the no-hitter in game what was it now? Because, again, remember, I got COVID brain. I want to say it was game 3, the no-hitter, where 4 pitchers pitched it. There was a meme on Facebook, maybe you saw it. It was a picture of Nolan Ryan with this very incredulous look. I think that the tag was Nolan Ryan hears about 4 pitchers throwing a no-hitter. Anyway. Sorry, I don't know if I'm going to find that funny. Oh, let's see what we got here. But by the way, I will say this about last night's game. What is Kyle Schwarber, first in the National League, second in baseball in home runs this year? They're down 3 runs in the top of the 8th. They got 4 outs left with 2 outs. He's bunting with 2 strikes. What's inside that guy's freaking brain? Congrats to Dusty Baker. Absolutely well-deserved. There is no more classy guy in Major League Baseball and nobody more deserving of this victory than Dusty Baker. And I belie anybody to tell me different. Now, next year, maybe I can root for Rob Thompson as long as the Yankees aren't there. We'll talk about the Yankees a little bit maybe today. But Pena is a stud. Pena he came of age in this playoff. The Astros obviously knew what they were doing. And maybe this probably is. If the Yankees had been in the same position, not to change the subject, right? And Velope, or Peraza had been as far along as Pena, or the Yankees saw them as that, this Yankee season might have been different. But the Astros were smart enough to see what they had in Pena former Tri-Valley Valley Cat here in Troy, by the way, right up the street. Played his ball when they were still affiliated with the Astros. So we got to see him play a little bit. The Astros knew what they had. They knew they could let Carrasco walk and not spend the money and spend the money elsewhere. The Astros are the best run organization in baseball today. I don't think there's any question about that. They do it the right way. Do they bring in some free agents? Not the top guys. You don't see them out there giving out $400 million contract. Well, nobody is, but they will be with Judge this year. They don't see them giving out $250 million contracts for 10 years. They just don't do it. Special teams are an issue both ways. So, and we'll talk about that too. I've talked about this forever in the pros and in college, and we'll get into that for sure, Rick, once we get past the baseball a little bit. The pitching with the Astros, they go so deep. And I kept hearing, I'd see on the post as I tried to keep up this week when I wasn't sleeping or whatever else might have been going on. Can't find my little, I had something up here. No, that's not it either. Damn it. I thought I had something up here for this. Damn it. Don't know what I did with it. I had some stats up. I kept hearing about how the Phillies pitching matched up with the Astros. And I'm like, what are you watching? The Phillies bullpen pitched well the first couple of games for sure. But the Phillies, again, they're the epitome of really what baseball is today with the home runs and or they don't win. They're like the Yankees in a lot of ways. The defense is suspect. Their decision making is suspect. With Schwarber last night trying to bunt, what the hell is that? So Anthony, you're right. Houston's pitching is absolutely amazing. Their starting pitching is good. I mean, there was a lot of controversy, and not a lot, but some. And normally I'd be all over this when they pulled, what's the kid's name? Alvarez out of the game in game 3 with a no-hitter, but he was starting to get hit hard. The idea now is to win a World Series. If this was a regular season game, I'd have had a problem with it. And I might have let him start the 7th inning, but Dusty Baker's job is to win a World Series there, and I guess I can't get on him for pulling him, but especially when you've got the arms and a bullpen like this team has. Oh, my gosh. It's amazing. They're not going away. They're coming back. Dusty Baker's coming back. I know his contract's up, so there's some question. Sorry, guys, this may happen a few times. Dusty Baker's contract's up, but if you saw him after the game, he said, why not go for 2? This team's loaded. Oldest manager to win a World Series, definitely. I would also say he probably won the most games before he won his first World Series as well. Well over 2,000. Dusty Baker's in the Hall of Fame. I would have said Dusty Baker was a Hall of Fame manager without this. Because don't forget, Dusty Baker turned around pretty much every team he went to, got them to the playoffs. I mean, he didn't win. I get it. And again, and I do too, put a big emphasis on winning it all. I do as well. It's just the way sports are. But he turned the Giants around when he got there. Of course, Barry Bonds helped that. He turned the Cubs around when he got there. He turned the Reds around when he got there. And he turned the Nationals around when he got there. We got a thumbs up for something from CA. Yankees whiffed on Rob Thompson. I don't disagree, Neil. They interviewed Rob Thompson when they fired Joe Girardi, and they settled on Aaron Boone. Settled, I will say again, and I want to talk a little more about that before we move on. Guys, and if we got – listen, I didn't hear from Mark Mancini, so I don't think we're going to have Mark on with us today. So it's going to be you and I for these 2 hours. And if we go a little past, fine. I want to get out. I want to talk about everything we got to talk about. I want to rush through stuff. So, let's hash it all out. And I do want to talk about the Yankees situation a little bit maybe and some other things, but we'll concentrate here. You're right. again, Yankees interviewed Rob Thompson. He'd been in the organization for quite a while at that point, managed down in Oneonta here. Again, not too far from us. Managed at the minor league level, was a bench coach for Joe Girardi for a long time. And the Yankees did whiff, I think. Again, I don't know how he interviewed, so it's hard to say that they whiffed. In retrospect, they made a bad choice and again, in all fairness, I thought Aaron Boone was a good hire at the time. And in fairness to Aaron Boone, I'm going to tell you, I still think he should have been let go this year. He should have been let go last year. But I don't know how much of this is Aaron Boone and it's the Yankee organization scripting games and telling him what to do. Too much. Drew, completely agreeing the Phillies, but kudos to them. Listen, I do not want to take anything away from them. Phillies underdogs in every one of these series. Nobody gave them much of a chance. Rob Thompson did a tremendous job motivating this team, getting guys in positions where they could succeed. Getting Marsh back in center field helped their defense because their outfield defense was atrocious without Harper being able to play out there. They just didn't have enough pitching, and the bats, they don't manufacture runs. They just don't manufacture runs. And again, similar to what the Yankees do, the Phillies, and it came back to bite them. It didn't hurt them through those first four series. They hit some big home runs and some other big hits. I mean, I'm not saying they never score without hitting home runs, right? But I won't take anything away from the Phillies. Congratulations to them on a great season. A season that was on the brink when they fired Joe Girardi. And congrats to Rob Thompson on this success and getting to the World Series and getting the full-time gig. Very happy for Rob Thompson. Volpe, what? This guy, let him get to the majors and I'll learn his name. I blame the COVID fog, Drew, but we know that's not true. Verlander's a free agent, notwithstanding what? It's going to be very interesting what happens with Verlander. I don't think that matters that much to that. He's a great pitcher. Don't get me wrong. He had a great year this year. Probably going to win the Cy Young. But they just pull pitchers out of their butt for crying out loud. Don't forget they let Garrett Cole walk away. I don't think they're going to pay him the money. I mean, he's probably going to command 2 years. He may command money near what Scherzer did. I don't know. Not great postseason success again for Verlander. But great pitcher. You're going to see a lot of Yankee fans screaming for him to come to the Bronx, and I'm not sure. Give him a 1-year contract, maybe. Exactly, CA. The farm, and maybe that's what you had the thumbs up for before. But Houston is a model organization from top to bottom. They do it the right way. Yes, you got to do some free agent dealings. That's just how the game's done today. But they've got bats that can hit home runs. They know how to manufacture runs. They play good defense. They've got good pitching. They've got good middle relief, back end relief, and they got a bunch of guys that come out of there throwing gas. And they're going to be hard to beat next year. Give them credit. Give credit where credit's due. This is a great, great team. Yes, I know. Thanks for the sorry, but Cashman's still up in the air. He hasn't signed it. Even at his press conference the other day, they didn't address it. But I don't think there's any way they bring back Boone, which Hal Steinbrenner has said he'll do, and then not bring back, and then bring in a new general manager and saddle him with somebody he didn't pick as the manager. Sorry, I'm losing steam already, but we'll be all right. So you're right. Cashman will probably be back, and we'll probably be looking at the same kind of team we're looking at this year. Every year, this guy's put together flawed teams for a decade. Teams that can't hit elite pitching. teams that don't play good enough defense, teams that don't have any kind of idea how to react when it comes to situational hitting. And now you've got the Aaron Judge situation on top of it. They have to bring back Aaron Judge. They have to. He cannot have the season he had last year, the face of the franchise, and not pay him. I do not care what it takes to get him here. One caveat. I'll give him, I swear to you, and you'll never hear me scream that he's not worth the money. 10 years, $40 million or $400 million, $425 million, but no opt-outs. You're not getting both, Aaron, and your agent. It's not happening. That's the thing with Major League Baseball and these players today. They want 8, 9, 10-year contracts, and they want opt-outs. Well, you either get the security or you get the option to opt out like Carlos Correa did this year or is going to do. And Anthony Rizzo did. Now Rizzo's opting out and looking for a longer-term contract. Fine, but you don't get the opt-out to go with it. I'm not going to guarantee to pay you, $200 million or whatever numbers we're talking about, 150 to 300 and some, 400. It's coming. And then give you a chance to, when you say that contract's obsolete in a couple of years, give you a chance to get out. So big doing, and look at, he's also got to address third base because Donaldson's got to go. He's got to address the shortstop situation. He's got to decide whether Peraza or Vlope. Let me laugh. I laugh and my lung hurts. Oh. He's got to decide whether one of those guys is ready, or you go out and try to sign a Carlos Carrasco, or whatever. But that's a big decision for the Yankees. Those are two big decisions. Hopefully Benintendi re-signing him is a big decision, and I'm for it. He's the type of guy. I'd be very happy going into next year and re-sign Judge with Benintendi, Bader, and Judge in the outfield. Very happy with that. And then retool that infield. I'm good to go. We got to retool some starting pitching. Teon is likely a history. Severino will be back. They're going to exercise his option. You've got some other guys. You'll probably sign one free agent short term, and then you got to address the bullpen. But there's a lot of work to be done in Yankee land. Ironic that a Kansas City coach wasn't good enough to manage that team, but good enough to manage the White Sox. Well, that's a good point. I thought the White Sox might give Miguel Cairo a better give him an opportunity, but I think he got off to a good start when he replaced Tony La Russa when he stepped away. And the team didn't finish the season well, which probably buried him. I think Miguel Cairo would be a good major league manager, and I think he did a good job with that team this year under the circumstances he had to work with. So it is a little ironic that Chicago goes the way they went. Agreeing with you, which is often. Oh, really? Thank you, CA. That's unusual on my show. Having the PDC darts qualifier going on. Emojis are for speed. I get you. So you're playing, what is PDC? Can you, because the acronym is not helping us. And this plays into something Kenny wants to talk about, some sports outside of the norm. So this gives us an opportunity to spend 2 minutes. What's PDC darts qualifier, and what are you playing, or are you refereeing? And if you're playing, I hope you're not the goalie. Bad joke. Other news from Texas. That would be a good move. Listen. When you hire a Hall of Fame to-be manager with I believe he's got 3 World Series titles, if I'm not wrong, right? That's a no-brainer. They did a great job. I could not There's nothing I would say bad about this hire for the Texas Rangers. And Bochy has done a great job. Bochy's a ball, Bochy's a manager. Has done a really good job of, again, another guy who he got a shot in San Diego, got them to the World Series against the Yankees in '98. Lost his job there and did a tremendous job in San Francisco. Best even year managing manager in the last 20 years. Great hire. And bringing Mike Maddox back would be good too. Mike Maddox is a really good pitching coach. Never had the career that his brother did actually playing, but he's certainly done well for himself in the coaching arena. Oh, Anthony, are you a Yankee fan? I've got a bad feeling too, but I will tell you again, I'm not predicting he's coming back. I'm telling you he has to come back. Yankees cannot afford. The dollar amount does not matter. The Yankees get outbid. That's sad. Because whatever they pay him, they could pay him $450 million. They could pay him $500 million. And they're going to make that money back tenfold in the next how many ever decades you want to look at. Because they're going to make money. It's not just what he brings to the field. He's the face of the franchise. He puts more seats in the people in the seats. You get more TV revenue because Aaron Judge is on the team, higher commercial values. You get more sales of merchandise. This is just while he's playing. When he retires, the Yankees will make millions, tens of millions, hundreds of millions off of his merchandise for decades. They're still making money selling Mickey Mantle jerseys, Babe Ruth jerseys. This is nothing in the grand scheme of things. If this is about money, this is stupid. So I'd love to know if you're where am I doing it? So again, I'd love to know if you're a Yankee fan, by the way, Anthony, because I don't know. Need to rebuild the pen. Is Loaizaga the closer? No, I don't think Loaizaga is going to be the closer ever. Not because he doesn't have the ability. And by the way, I think teams need to stop looking at closers the way they look at them, Neil. Loaizaga is too good doing what he does. Loaizaga was a big part of this team's second half rebound when they rebounded because he started pitching like the pitcher he was before he got hurt. The first half, he was terrible. But he's such a jack of all trades, like a Swiss Army knife. He can pitch anywhere. And I think you need guys to pitch in high leverage situations. And high leverage situations aren't always in the 8th and 9th inning. It's funny. I remember reading, some books, Bronx is Burning, different stuff, stuff about Billy Martin. Billy Martin would bring Sparky Lyle in a 5th inning, 4th inning sometimes with the bases loaded, not just in the 9th inning with nobody on. That's a high leverage. And Billy always said, and I've said this, you've heard me say this on this show, your closer, your shutdown guy should pitch when the game's on the line. Now, the game may not be on the line in the 9th inning. The game might be on the line in the 6th inning or the 5th inning. The Brewers did this with Josh Hader for a while. That's why I like Loaizaga. He can come in at any point in the game. He doesn't have a set role. And maybe teams start to need to get away from this set role. And I can only pitch in the 9th inning and I got to start the inning and blah, 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 blah. Well, how many pitchers come in and are successful because they're used to it with men on base in crucial situations? Back in the day, the Goose Gossages, the Lyles, the Suitors, and Tony La Russa is the one who started this whole trend in my mind with Eckersley. Could only pitch a 9th inning and had to start the inning. I am drinking lots of water and probably I don't have a bottle here. You guys often will see me drinking out of Powerade. I drink Powerade Zero like it's crazy, and I probably drink about 5 of those a day. or this week I have been. But I do need my coffee as well to keep myself going. So thank you. My wife is on top of me to do that. So Professional Darts Corp. Okay, well, it makes sense. And good to hear that we got some athletes in the room. Current athletes, Rick and Kenny. Talking the Rangers being in on DeGrom's another interesting case. I've gotten in little squabbles with people about the kind of contract he's going to get. Now, he hasn't opted out yet. He's going to, most likely. But who's giving DeGrom 5 years? I'm not giving him 4 years. He's another guy. I'll sign you for 2 years, and I'll sign you for $40 million a year. I'll give you Scherzer money, but I'm not giving you years. You haven't been healthy in how long? And don't tell me, well, go back to whatever. He's going to be 35 years old. I can't trust he's going to pitch. And then we've gotten into this with a few guys. Scherzer pitching, DeGrom pitching 20 games is better than most guys pitching, or 15 games is better than most guys pitching 30, whatever. I'm not giving him a bunch of years. I wouldn't mind having him on my team, but with the risk there. So I'd be careful. Again, it's funny. I thought this was when I saw Rangers, Drew, I thought it was Allen. DeGrom's a great pitcher, and he's going to probably be the most sought-after pitcher on the market for sure. But I think it takes one dumb owner, right? Somebody's going to offer him 6 years, and it's not the same as Judge. Maddox was a pitching coach. Listen, Nolan Ryan, I was so pleased, Alan, when Nolan Ryan was running the Patriots. Oh, my God. The Rangers organization, because he was all by himself, it seemed, trying to get baseball back to where it should be from his pitching standpoint. He actually encourages pitchers to pitch and encourages organization people to have pitchers pitch, actually throw, not just throw 90 pitches and look to come out of games, but look to pitch it deep into games and pitch important innings. Starting pitchers we're talking about. But he wasn't around long enough to really get anything to kind of catch hold there. So Maddox is a really good pitching coach. Oh, Anthony's an Oriole fan. Well, I can tell you one place he's not going, Anthony, is the Orioles. Congrats on the Orioles, by the way, but nice season for the Orioles this year. They made some moves at bold moves, I thought, at the trade deadline, with them being in the wild card race and all. Trading Mancini, who's a big fan favorite, obviously. Trading who was the Lopez, who was the number one closer, I think, at least one of the best closers in baseball at the time. So they continue to stay competitive and stay in that race for a long time. So good job. I thought Brandon Hyde was in trouble. One of the managers in the biggest amount of trouble last year, but he came back nicely. Alan Pereira, I believe they want to go get DeGrom and Rodon. They got to be careful throwing. Look at how much money did they throw around last year? I just talked about the Astros, and the Astros being the model organization. Now, what you want to do is what the Rangers did back in the 90s when they went after A-Rod and probably some other guys who are not slipping my mind. You can't just go out and throw money at a pennant anymore. It doesn't work. Look at the Yankees. I think the Rangers, yes, they need some. So they do need a talent upgrade, but you got to be careful what you do. And I'm not a big Rodon fan anyway. This is a good one too. Edwin Diaz. This is a very interesting case. Edwin Diaz, best reliever in baseball this year, right? By far, I think. I don't think you can argue that he's the best reliever in baseball. But relief pitchers are like this. They're up and down like crazy. Edwin Diaz himself, just a few years ago, was a pariah on the Mets. He happened to have a good year at a very good time. And if I'm the Mets, you got to weigh. Yes, he's very important to that team. But can I be assured that he's coming back and putting up any kind of similar numbers to what he did last year? So he's an interesting case study, Drew, and it's going to be interesting to see what the Mets do there because one dumb owner going to offer him more than the Mets want to pay him, guaranteed. CA, Surf PDC TV, to start learning the basics and the rankings mess we're attempting to help straighten out. I'm a former ranked player. Family business took me away from it. Got in a new senior tour and maybe play a couple months. That's nice. That's pretty cool. Well, check that out. And if there's CA, if there's some stuff that I can do to help promote this, I don't know what we want to call it, a tour. Tour. I'll be happy to do it on the TGI Sports Talk page and even my personal page. So send me some stuff if you got some. You got a website. You got something you want me to push for you guys. I'll be happy to do it. So there you go, Kenny. We talked about darts today. Well, right. I mean, Nolan was kind of in charge. He was a president of baseball operations, if I'm remembering his title even close, something near that. But I think he didn't necessarily have the final say. Nolan Ryan, I think it's unfortunate that Nolan didn't stay, as I said, because I think Nolan Ryan is a guy who may have changed the way we had an effect on potentially changing the way the game was being played, which now has only gotten to ridiculous standards, even worse than when Nolan was trying to rectify the fact that pitchers, why do pitchers get hurt? Because they don't pitch. They don't throw enough. Ugh. There you go. How many World Series did that team win? I don't know. Was A-Rod there when Gonzalez was still there? Pudge probably was. I lose track of time. So regardless, you can't just and Alan, before I move on from baseball, or I want to look at a couple other, see if there's any other stories we really ought to talk about that I haven't chatted about. And anything you guys else you have about baseball, let's throw it out there now so we can move on. It's not just throwing money at great players because you need chemistry. Look at the Phillies. The Phillies made a run because Rob Thompson came in and improved the team chemistry by removing a guy whose sphincter is so freaking tight that the rest of the team played the same way. I said this about Joe Girardi forever. So it's about chemistry. Now, Bochy didn't have, I don't think, who were the big players on Bochy's team? I mean, he had good players, don't get me wrong. But they had a very cohesive chemistry on that team. He had good pitchers, minus some Baumgarten, Lindemann for a while. Lindemann? If I'm saying his name right. But you don't win just with a bunch of superstars in your lineup. I can give you cautionary tales in New York going back to 1982, 1981. So there's that. What else going on in baseball? Is there anything else I want to talk about in baseball before I move on? We're going to get to some college football because I know we got some heated stuff to talk about here. And then we'll get some NFL stuff in. I might. I'll do it at the end of the show. Where the hell am I? I just want news. What else is going on? Pena, Wheeler, upset about getting pulled before big HR, whatever. Judge voted MLB Player of the Year by his peers. There's no doubt he's winning the MVP. He's the MVP in baseball. Anybody who thinks Ohtani is nuts. Neil, I know you're going to tell me he's overrated. If there's an award for Ohtani, this would have been it. I wouldn't have probably argued. I wouldn't have cared. I wouldn't have agreed, but I wouldn't have argued. Because the one that's important to me is the MVP, and that's Aaron Judge. Sterling Marte has surgery to repair core muscle, which I'm sure was affecting him through much of his year. And then some sad news, and I hope this doesn't continue. Sadahara O, the Japanese all-time home run leader, and the Major League, I shouldn't say Major League, professional baseball's all-time home run leader with 868 has been hospitalized. He's 82 years old. And if you don't remember the name Sadahara O, look it up because he's a legend in Japan. And there was a lot of fun interaction back in the day when Aaron was chasing Ruth and that type of thing. So it was kind of a cool little thing. Hello, Augustin. How are you? We'll be getting into college football in just a little bit. We'll talk about your Oregon Ducks, I promise you. Baseball award season coming. It goes fast from here, right, Drew? So the World Series is over. We're going to get a chance to take a breath for about 2 days. Then we're going to have the awards coming out, and we're going to hit free agency, and things are going to go crazy. Then we'll have to talk about the new rules that are starting next year. We're not going to get into that today, but more ridiculousness on the way. So the awards are going to be interesting, and I've already told you my MVPs. The important ones to me, MVP, and I'll give them to you right now, and you guys can give me a little. This will be our last baseball topic for today. I'm going to give you MVP, Cy Young, Manager of the Year. I don't want to go much deeper than that today. MVP in American League is Aaron Judge. National League, I'm going to go with Paul Goldschmidt. Cy Young, Justin Verlander. National League. Boy, that's a good one. National League. Who do I like in the National League? Let me take a quick look here. I don't remember who I liked. You got to take a quick look at my notes. Connor Wright's got the most wins, but that doesn't usually mean anything. I'm going to take Urias from the Dodgers. Manager of the Year, another tough one. American League, Dusty Baker. National League, Rob Thompson. How about that? Yeah, seriously, CA. Send me anything you want. Either you can put it, you can just messenger with me. You can try to post it to the page. I probably got to approve it, so let me know you did it. However you want to do it. You can email me at pats09@msn.com. It's on the TGI Sports Talk page, but I'll get it up there for you. You do see me again, Augustin. Congratulations to your Oregon Ducks. So we'll wait a little bit, see if Drew wants to throw any baseball news out there. Let me just look at this, my other source here. Is there anything else I wanted to touch on quick? How about tough as Martin Maldonado, by the way? Played the World Series, at least the World Series, with a broken hand, and he's going to have a sports hernia operation. Pretty tough guy. Oh, we'll look at that stuff later. Gold Glove winners are out. Maybe we'll do a show to recap the season. I don't know, Drew. Maybe that's what you and I ought to do. I got to go back, and I couldn't find a lot. I found some of my notes, but not all of them. I know you sent me some of yours. But I think I'll just go back and rewatch the show and make some notes. But I think maybe we'll do a quick, not just a short, maybe an hour recap on our selections and what we thought would happen and what actually did. Yeah, Cleveland Indians got the Gold Gloves. We can touch on that quick since I think I've got it right here. Why don't I see them all? Anyway, Miles Straw, Stephen Kwan, Andres Jimenez, the ex-Met, and Sean Bieber all received Gold Glove honors. It was the first Gold Glove for each player. Nolan Ariando wins his 10th Gold Glove. How come I can't just see who won them all? It's annoying me. Sorry, I'm probably breathing directly into the microphone, getting you guys all COVID. Here we go. Here we go. JT Realmuto gets the catcher in the National League. Christian Walker at first base. Brendan Rodgers from the Rockies at second base. Dansby Swanson at shortstop, a very underrated player. Shortstop's an interesting position for the Braves. Swanson's a free agent, and a bunch of other guys they may be interested in. So we talked about Ariendo. Ian Happ with the Cubs, an underrated player. Trent Grisham, not much with the bat unless he's playing the Mets. Sorry, Mets fans. Mookie Betts and Max Fried from the Braves. Utility, which they gave out, I guess, this might be the first time. Brandon Donovan from the Cardinals. In the American League, Jose Trevino from the Yankees. Congratulations, Jose. Vlad Guerrero Jr., much improved at first base for the Blue Jays. Jimenez, we talked about for the Guardians. Jeremy Pena, the rising star of the Astros. Ramon Urias for the Orioles. Stephen Kwan, Miles Straw, Kyle Tucker for the Astros. Again, another underrated player for the Astros, huh? One of the better players in baseball with the bat, the glove, all-around players you don't hear a lot about. Great player. Shane Bieber, and utility was DJ LeMahieu from the Yankees. So you have that. Neil agrees with my choices. NL Cy Young does have some candidates. I think Urias is the best of them myself, but I wouldn't be shocked. That'd be the one I might not be sure about. Good morning, Billy. Good to be back. I'm probably operating at about 75% here, still dragging, as I mentioned at the top of the show. But I thank everybody for their well wishes there this week. Believe me, a lot of people worse off than this kid. Let me tell you. I just got it. Thank you. I found it on The Athletic, Drew. So I think here I got to block this guy because this guy wants me to put a dating app up. Block. Goodbye. On to college football, if I must. Well, I have to, unfortunately. I want to get to a little bit of that, little NFL. Well, why don't we do the NFL first? I'll do the college last. We'll do the NFL right now. Let's do the NFL. And then we'll do college football near the end, okay? And then the guys who want to move on for their day can do so. So let's do some NFL right now. How about that? Guerrero will never play for the Yankees. Well, good. We don't want you, Vlad. True, right? Thank you, Rick. If I was a tough guy, I'd have been here last week, right? Why don't we go to the NFL, guys? We'll hold college football for a little bit. We'll do some NFL stuff. I want to go around the league a little bit. We're halfway through the season, right? I want to talk a little bit about teams we think are still alive, who the best teams are, who the teams that are going to rebound, who the fakers are, the pretenders, whatever. And then we'll do today's picks and talk about whatever else you want to talk about. And I want to catch up on our picks so that I know Kenny's had some trouble and is going to be dropping out, which I'm disappointed about, but I get it. It's hard sometimes because of the, I can't find my standings page. I don't know why. All right, let's just go here. Let's start with the AFC East. Not a lot of surprise here. The Bills leading the way by a game and a half over the Jets. The Jets, one of the surprises at 5-3, get waxed by the Patriots last week. I'll talk more about the Patriots. Zach Wilson, who I've defended, and I hold on, I'll get to that in a second, Bob. That's a long message. Let me just get through here. Zach Wilson, who I've defended. There's no two teams I hate more in football than the Jets and the Patriots. The Jets and the Giants. And I've been defending both their quarterbacks for the longest time. Daniel Jones is proving me right. Zach Wilson is starting to prove maybe there's a question there. I don't know. He had been making some improvement, but last week's game was atrocious. Patriots defense was good, but the kids got to learn to throw the ball away and not just throw it up for grabs off your back foot up down the field. So the Bills, a class of that division. The Jets, a surprise. Don't expect them to stay where they are. The Dolphins and the Patriots, I think, will battle it out for second place here. The Patriots 4-4. Bad Monday Night Football game against the Bears last week. Bill Belichick making a stupid quarterback decision and causing a quarterback controversy potentially that didn't need to be. Mac Jones wasn't ready to play. Mac Jones should not have played. If he couldn't play 4 quarters, he should not have played. You put him in a position to fail. You took him out. You create a controversy that didn't need to be there. I'm not saying Bailey Zapp maybe not be better than Mac Jones. I don't know. But I've seen him play about 2 full games. I don't know, a game. What have I seen him play? Not even 2 full games. He's really good against a bad Lions team. Played pretty good against the Packers, who we find out are not that good. And he stunk against the Bears. And I'm not saying he may end up being a quarterback someday. But you put Mac Jones in a really bad position that Monday night, and you made a mistake, Bill. Oh, let's see what we got here. Good morning, Paul. What's wrong with Billy? Well, good morning, Carlos. Good to have you with us this morning. Pickings have been interesting. Yes, they have been interesting. We'll get to that before we go through. Bob Hildeberg, good morning. One of my fellow Patriot puts me to shame. Happy anniversary to Jumpin' Joe Gerlach, who was a halftime show at the Patriots Colts game in November 6, 1972. He jumped out of a hot air balloon that was floating about 100 feet above the 50-yard line and laying on an air mattress just as the cannon was shut, startling everyone. This is why Bob is the best. He's got these little Patriot facts I would never know. I did go to my first game there, Bob, in 1970. That's when I became a Patriot fan, when I went with a friend of mine's family, see the Chiefs and the Patriots, actually. I do not remember anybody jumping into an air mattress, though. So Billy's feeling better. Hope you're okay, Bill. Don't know what the problem was, though, but CA's emojis are just like totally baffling me today. Just got cheap roughing the passer, took down 6 points. What was the score of the game, Bill? Don't tell me again. Oh, the pulverizers got me going this morning already. I'm going to tell you this one more time. First of all, you don't put yourself in a position to say, I lost a game because of a bad call. And if you think you lost that game because of a bad call, then I want to know what the hell game you're watching, because that game you were outplayed from start to finish in every aspect of the game. Offense, defense, special teams, and coaching. So, but you want to tell me about one roughing the passer call? Yeah, it was a 5-point game because the Jets scored late in the fourth quarter. Where they played like crap the entire game until that. Patriots were excellent. 6 sacks, 8 quarterback hits, 3 turnovers. You're going to tell me that play was a turning point in the game, I suppose, right? Took down 6 points. And all we do is look at the final score and say, I lost by 5. We would have won the game. That's just a ridiculous way to look at the game because you don't have a way to know what would have happened the remainder of that game based on that call. So, again, stop. You guys have never heard me say the Patriots lost because of X play. Now, I will complain, and maybe that's all Billy's doing here, in fairness to him. I have made complaints about calls. I'll never say we lost because of a call. Yeah, and again, Carlos is here, so... And I am, unlike many people who do this kind of thing, I'm not afraid to admit when I'm wrong. There's a potential. I'm not wrong about Daniel Jones. I may be wrong about Zach Wilson. So anyway, we'll see. Current playoff situation, if they ended today, Bills, Chiefs, Titans, Jets, Dolphins, Chargers, and the Patriots are exactly 1/2 game out of that situation. Let's remember. A lot of football to be played. Patriots got a tough go of it after they got the Colts today, got to win. They got to bye. They got the Jets. Then it gets rough for the Patriots. They have got to win these next 2 games. That loss to the Bears killed them. But are they on the playoffs? No. 9-8 is going to make a wild card in the AFC, probably in the NFC too. 8-9 might get in the NFC. Did I give it to you, Bill? I apologize. I hope I didn't give it to you. Listen, I hope you'd. And I've said a few times on the show that there's a lot of people worse off than me suffering with COVID for the last 9 or 10 days. But it's not fun, and I wouldn't wish it on you guys. And thank God I got vaccinated and boosted because I don't know what it would have been like without it. So Dolphins passing attack is flying high, but their defense is making that necessarily. Agreed, and they could run into trouble today, Drew, because they're playing in Chicago where the wind is going to be a problem for the passing game. I don't know if they can run the ball enough. The Bears could be a live underdog today, and I may change my pick once we get to the picks. Roughing the passer calls. I don't disagree with this. Roughing the passer, and we'll talk about it in college. The targeting calls. There was almost a targeting call in games I watched. I guess it was a Kentucky held Kentucky playing beat yesterday. Good grief. Terrible. Missouri. It was a play that was awful. And these guys don't, they need to be able to review these. I don't think they can review this. Correct me if I'm wrong. Roughing the passer is not a play that's reviewable in the NFL. In college, you can review targeting. You can review these calls and they get reversed. But roughing the passer, some of these plays are just ridiculous. If you hit a guy in the head, first of all, the guy's moving around. If you're launching yourself like a missile into somebody and using the crown of your head, wherever you hit them, then it's a penalty. It should be. But there's too many plays that are just bang, bang, and guys are moving around and guys are running out of the pocket, and it's an impossible call for these referees to get right. Don't sit back my recovery. Oh, thank you, Bill. Thank you, great kick. Now, but believe me, let me tell you guys something right now. I love this, and I love getting worked up, and I think it gets some bad toxins out of my body. I love interacting with you guys. I love the feedback. I love even when I get a little worked up. I have more fun than you have any idea known. Bills only team gave up. Listen, right now the Bills. How can I say anything going back to our standings here, which I've now lost again? There it is. Oh, that's college. I lost it. God damn it. There we go. I don't think it's the Eagles and the Bills. It's kind of a race for me to see who the best team in football is. Bills have lost. The Eagles haven't. I did not think the Eagles would be that good, and I admit I was wrong because I didn't think they'd win even 8 games. Jalen Hurts is playing great. But the Eagles and the Bills are the best 2 teams in football at the moment. At the moment. Still 9, in some cases 10 games to play. CA's got his picks in. We'll take a look at those standings in just a little bit. Chubb really improved the Dolphins' D. That was a great trade for the Dolphins. There's been some interesting trades, or there were some interesting trades at the trade deadline. The Bears trading 2 of their best defensive players, one to the Eagles of all teams. Then picking up the wide receiver, I think, from Pittsburgh. His name's escaping me at the moment. But Chubb coming from Denver, right, to the Dolphins makes a big deal. He's an impact player. He's an impact player. Drew wants to move on to the north. Drew keeps the show moving along while Alan slows it down. Just kidding, Alan. You're not slowing it down. Alan's got a post up about the north too. The Ravens just strengthened their defense. The Bengals front line has not improved as expected, and Browns trying to tread water until Watson arrives. Steelers are awful, by the way. Ravens 5-3. They've got an interesting game today. Who they got today? Hold on. They could be on a bye now that I think about it. I think they're on a bye. Nope, they got Baltimore. They got New Orleans at New Orleans. New Orleans is a strange team and one to keep an eye on. That and we'll get to it. The NFC South is just a mess. But sticking with the North again, this thing's up for grabs. I think, I think the Browns are probably still alive, just because I don't think the Ravens are that good. The Bengals, as Drew points out, they went out and pretty much revamped that entire offensive line, and it's worse than it was. Joe Burrow's going to get killed back there. So this is a very up and down team, which I think the Patriots have in a couple of weeks. And I'm looking forward to that. Will the Browns be alive by the time Deshaun Watson gets back? I don't know. And am I going to care? Because I'm going to root against Deshaun Watson as much as humanly possible. Alan's comments. The Ravens are up and down. Agreed. The Bengals are injured and can't block air. Can't block. Good point. Browns had their best game. Listen, I got to tell you, Nick Chubb is one of the most underrated players in the NFL. I've got him on 2 fantasy leagues, and so I've got Josh Allen and Nick Chubb in 2 fantasy leagues. And I got to tell you, those 2 guys carry me every week. Nick Chubb is a really, really good back end and not a good football team. So he's played very, very well. But I do not think the Browns are a real competitor here. Steelers are just atrocious. They're awful. Their quarterback situation, I don't think Kenny Pickett's going to be the answer. Again, I don't want to judge him on 1 year because, as I said with Carlos, you can't judge first-year quarterbacks. Let him get adjusted. He's not their answer this year. They're not ready to win. So who can make the playoff? Well, let's go back to the AFC East. I think the Bills, the Dolphins, and the Patriots all have a shot at the playoffs. Vikings get the tight end. Listen, that was a good trade for the Vikings, getting the guy from Detroit. Again, names are going to escape me today, guys, but that was a very good move, and we'll move on to that in a second. Ravens play Monday against the Saints, which I just said they'll play that'll be an interesting game. The Saints have played decent football at home. Bengals are in trouble without Chase this week. I wouldn't disagree. Again, the weapons on offense go to waste when your quarterback has no time. Your running back, who's one of the better running backs in the AFC, has no holes. That offensive line will be their demise, and I do not see them repeating, maybe not even making the playoffs. Every team is one play from a key injury that loses contender status for a Super Bowl. Not to be doom and gloom, moreover, the only thing I pray for about, you know what? It's a very good point, CA. And one of the things that's changed in football is there isn't the depth. This isn't college. This isn't Alabama and Georgia where a guy goes down injured, you just plug another guy in who's just as good, 5-star athlete, right? So it's very hard to overcome those types of injuries. And look, it's a violent game. And I will tell you that the NFL, in their haste to promote player safety, has in fact made players less safe because they don't hit enough. Moving on to the South. Thank you, Drew. You do this. It's a good way to segue in. When you're ready to go, I'm ready to go. Doesn't mean I can't go backwards, guys. AFC South. Oh my God, what a mess! Is not even the Titans somehow 5-2. I'll be honest with you, they've won five in a row very quietly, because I haven't even noticed this team winning 5 in a row. I believe we're going to get our first look at Malik Willis this week. That's I think the first look. He may have played last week. I can't remember. I've been in a fog, but I don't think he's played. So it's going to be interesting to see if they can keep that streak alive. The Colts are terrible. How bad is Matt Ryan when you say to a Hall of Fame quarterback, you're not playing anymore? Sam Ellinger. And it's not like you got, I don't know, Josh Fields, a highly rated number 1 quarterback. You've got Sam Ellinger. And Ellinger might be a great player. I don't know. I liked him. I loved him in college, but is he going to be a good pro? Who knows? Little surprised. Got to be a lot of pressure. This has got to have come down from the front office. This was not a coaching decision. At least not entirely. Colts still alive at 3-4, but I think they lose to the Patriots today, and that will kill them. So anyway, I didn't give him my. I think one team from the AFC North makes it, either the Bengals or the Ravens. AFC South, one team, most likely the Titans at this point anyway. Let's see what kind of comments we got here. Ravens will get that division, looks like. That's possible. Hawkinson, thank you, Carlos. Really good tight end. Allen's talk about the AFC South. Half the reason why the NFC East is good is they play the. That's a good point. Titans finding their footing. Again, this is stuck up on me. I looked at these standings just now, and I didn't realize they'd won 5 in a row. I really didn't. Colts are bad. Jaguars. Look, Jaguars are too young. They've got some talent. They're a year. I mean, they're like I said the Giants and the Jets were last year, right? It's going to take them another year to get this together. Texans, CJ Stroud will look good. Just stay away from the massage parlors in Texas when you get there, CJ, please. CA, good point. What do you say? Oh, about the injuries. Excellent. Very good point. It's right. Titans. And I said, again, it's depth. Salary caps, what salary caps have done, and again, everybody wants parity. If you want parity, you want salary caps, this is what you're going to get. You're going to get teams with no depth, and you're going to get a lot of iffy football. Man, the wind just came up here again. Wind has been blowing like crazy here for about 24 hours. Who's that? Willis played last week. Titans and the Chiefs tonight. I think it's a bad spot for Malik Willis, but we'll find out. We're talking about Willis. There's that Perth humor. Don't say we aren't funny in Perth. They can't play him because that O-line is too weak. Who are we talking about? Willis? I'm not sure we're talking about, Carlos. We'll move on to the West. AFC West hasn't been the powerhouse everyone expected. I didn't think it would be the best division in football. I'll tell you that right now. I thought the AFC East would be. And I did predict the Denver Broncos would not be in a playoff team. I didn't think the Raiders would be 2-5, but I did not think they'd be a playoff team. I thought it would be the Chiefs and Chargers, which right now it is. The Chargers have played very up and down football. Their coach continues to make head-scratching fourth down calls with games on the line. He somehow survived his last one, but I don't get it. As you look at this team, I said before the season, I thought the demise of the Chiefs was greatly exaggerated. They are 5-2. Are they quite what they were? I think this team is going to be close to what the Super Bowl contenders were. Tyreek Hill's missed, but they got a plethora of wide receivers out there. I think the running back, the hyphenated, help me out. Help me out. Anyway, he's playing better football. And I think this team with Patrick Mahomes, and I think the defense is going to be better. It's gotten better. It's played some good games, some bad games. It's better than the Chargers, who we thought were going to have a great defense. So watch out for the Chargers. They're going to get hot. You can't have a quarterback that good. They get healthy on defense. They're winning with half their wide receiver core not playing every week. I've got Keenan Allen on a fantasy team. I haven't played him since week one. I don't think he's played since week one. So Chargers and Chiefs make the playoffs. Broncos and Raiders. I will tell this to McDaniel. Josh, win some games or you're going to be back as a coordinator for the Patriots. I root for him to keep losing. Matt Ryan, test crash dummy. Thank the Lord they're protected. Oh, that's probably what you're talking about. I got you, Carlos. Matt Ryan's career is done, though. Matt Ryan's been heading downhill for a couple of years. And I love Matty. Listen, went out and I saw nearly his entire or much of his career in Boston College when he played out there. Josh Beekman from Amsterdam was one of his offensive linemen who also went on to a short career in the NFL with the Bears and a couple other teams, cup of coffee with. 3 seasons with the Bears, though. And Matty was a really good a college quarterback. I never thought he would turn into the player that he turned into in the NFL. Never. And a good kid, too. Met him and his father's a nut job, by the way, who sat next to him to play a few games. But Matty's on his way down. And I don't know that he's been the same since they lost that Super Bowl to the Patriots. Chargers, sorry to wrong Staley. Listen, this guy, I don't know what he thinks about on fourth down. Last year, he's in the playoffs. I don't know how he doesn't get fired last year. All he needs is a tie. He's in the playoffs, and he freaking doesn't even know it. And this year, he barely gets away with going for it on fourth down like his own 25 late in the game. Chiefs of old with new faces, pretty much what I said. Chargers hit and miss. A lot of injuries on the Chargers. Again, everybody's got a lot of injuries. But their best 2 wide receivers have been hurt most of the year. Bosa's been out on defense. Denver's done. Russell Wilson, he's not a guy that I ever thought was going to play to 40 years old like some of these other guys because of the way he had to play early in his career. Excuse me. Oh, that would hurt. It's no knock on it's no knock on Wilson's career that he's coming here and not doing what they traded for him to do. He's not able to do it. And I said before he got there, I don't think the talent level is any better and potentially worse than what he left behind in Seattle. And the Raiders, wow. Yeah, I again, as I said, I keep rooting for them to lose because maybe I'll get my offensive coordinator back. Colts beaks Charlie. Oh, he did get a shot with the Colts. East. Now we'll get into a little discussion with Carlos here. Let's read Drew's comments first. Heck of a division. Agreed. I'm shocked. I thought 9-8 would win this division. And I thought they'd all be 9-8 or 8-9, all the teams. Could still happen, but obviously the Eagles are unlikely to do that. Eagles have 90-point differential between points and points given. They played great football, both sides. The talent level is much better. The talent level is very good. I knew it was. The quarterback play is better than I thought it would be. I was not a believer in Hurts. Now they've made a trade to get one of the better defensive linemen in football 2 weeks ago. Week ago, whatever it was. They're 8-0. Cowboys 6-2. Well, let me finish Drew's comment. Cowboys are solid. I agree. 6-2. Dak is back. I know Kenny. I don't think Kenny's here. But look, they're better with Dak than they were with Cooper Rush. They just are. And Schultz is healthy. Good point. Giants still surprising and riding the Barkley wave. And don't forget, listen. Daniel Jones has played really good football, mistake-free football. He's got no weapons other than Barkley. He's led 3 game-winning drives this year. He's brought them back to win games. He was the offensive player of the week a few weeks ago. I will say again, if Daniel Jones had been drafted in the second round, middle of second round later, Giant fans would have been very happy with his progress up until now. I will not tell you Daniel Jones is Patrick Mahomes or ever will be. Daniel Jones is good enough to lead a good team to the playoffs and maybe further. I'm going to tell you that quarterbacks worse or no worse or no better than Daniel Jones is right now have won Super Bowls. Now, can they have sustained success? I don't know. And the Commanders, my pick to win this division, are hanging in there, Allen. 4-4 after a horrendous start. I said Heineke was the better quarterback here. And now that he's playing, they've won 3 in a row. Here's, I don't know if Allen and Drew are just typing together. Are you guys in the same room? Eagles suspect schedule. No. Stop with the schedule. Stop. You play the teams on the schedule. That's all you can do. They're 8-0. And again, as that fat bastard, Bill Parcells said, you are what your record says you are. I'm a Eagles basher. Stop being a Cowboy homer for a second, Alan, and look at this rationally. They're 8-0. Don't disparage them because who they played. You can't do that. Not fair. Now, your Cowboys 6-2, surviving how many weeks without Dak? Great job. They've done a great job. Why isn't that good enough for you? You're not 8-0. You weren't going to be 8-0. Might have been. I don't know. I guess I can't make that statement. But don't listen. I'm not an Eagles backer. I think you know that. But they're playing great. They've surprised the hell out of me. Their quarterback is playing as well as anybody in the NFL. They've got the best talent in the division. I said that before the season. The quarterback was the question. Cowboys have found their formula, run and gun with great defense. Well, that shouldn't be their formula, though, by the way. unless I'm misunderstanding your run and gun comment. Run and gun to me was Jim Kelly with the Houston Gamblers and what the Houston Oilers ran with Warren Moon. I don't think that's a great strategy for the Cowboys in the long run. Sorry for my stuttering. Giants' biggest surprise. Again, I'm not necessarily. And the team formerly known as the Redskins up for sale. 4-4. They were 1-4. Playing good football. Don't dismiss them. All right, let's see. We got a lot of comments here. Cowboys and Giants in the mix for OBJ. So what? You know, I don't know. Why isn't he on a team? There's a couple of things that make me question this, right? Is it because he doesn't want to go through the rigors of training camp and early season, and I'll pick my team that I think has the best chance to succeed later in the season? Or is he just that big a problem and his talent levels diminished enough that teams don't want him? Division is, you're right, as Alan kind of alluded to before, Neil, you're absolutely right. They are feasting on the NFC South. But again, you have to play the teams on your schedule. These teams are all playing good football. I will not take anything away from any of these teams. It's sure nice we gained an hour of evolutionary American measure of time. That's good. Eagles have only 3 turnovers. Well, it must be who they played. You just said they were no. You just said that to me. Basically, you told me their record was a mirage. Alan, you did. But now you're going to tell that's why they are 8-0. They've only turned the ball over 3 times. Dak is back. Eagles will come back down to earth. They might. But the Eagles coming back down to earth and Dak being back has nothing to do with one another. You might want to try beating the Eagles. I said before, the Eagles have the best talent in this division, and the quarterback was the issue. The quarterback is proving me and many other people wrong. And right now, sorry, Jalen Hurts is better than Dak Prescott. And I've been a big Dak Prescott backer, as our next comment will probably bet. There's Kenny. Kenny, did I see you earlier, or am I just like imagining things that you haven't been here? Pretty much the same. Schwartz gave a year, pretty much the same Schwartz year, give or take. I know Kenny's not a big Dak fan. I am a Dak fan, but right now Hurts is better. End of story. I didn't say you're mad. You should be happy with Dallas. No, I didn't say you were mad. I said I think you were dismissing their record unfairly. That's 2 different things. Make sure Ellen's available to help Drew with audio if you're coming out for baseball updates. We'll have to work on that. We'll work on that maybe before. It's a good point. Maybe we try a cheap headset or something. Anything that might work. I don't know. We'll test it out beforehand. Dak is back and watch the win a lot of regular season games. Dak sucks at the playoffs. They're making the playoffs. Look at Eagles, Cowboys, and Giants may all make the playoffs. I think they will all make the playoffs. Maybe the Commanders sneak in there and knock one of them out. I don't know. Oh, I said the Commanders. A team formerly known as the Redskins. I don't know what they'll do. OBJ is listen, I'm going to get going on Kyrie in a little bit before I sign off. If I had done my vlog this week, it would have been about Kyrie. OBJ is no Kyrie Irving. Kyrie Irving is the worst cancer in sports today. Kyrie Irving is a worse human being than freaking Colin Kaepernick ever thought of being. Kyrie Irving needs medical attention, psychiatric attention. Now, maybe I'm slandering him, but I'm very sorry, and let him sue me because he is freaking nuts as a day is long, which this day is 24 hours long, as CA just pointed out. Not that OBJ's an upstanding citizen. So I'm just saying, Neil, don't compare those two guys. I don't know why my printer's going off here. All right. Not ready. Who are we talking about? Who are we talking about? I don't know who we're talking. I guess we're maybe Dak. Effing computer, it's schedule. What? Moving to the north. He beat you this time, Drew. Get your comments up. Vikings look good, but defense is meh. Listen, they're 6-1. 5 wins in a row. Don't dismiss this team. New coach, new voice, new attitude. I don't have a problem with the defense as much as I worry about Kirk Cousins remembering he's Kirk Cousins at the worst possible time. Bears finally utilizing Fields properly. I agree. Listen, the whole thing with Nagy set Fields back, just like he ruined Trubisky. He was on a course to ruin Fields, and they've had to reprogram this kid. You saw what he can do against the Patriots. Move that kid around. Let him run the football. He played well last week too, I thought. Oh, I didn't read the rest of your thing here. Packers need help. Packers are done. It's really sad what we're seeing, and we'll get into this a little bit once we get through the divisions. We're probably going to go past 10:30 today, just so you guys know. So much to catch up on. Lions injuries have hurt them. Lions defense has hurt them. Their defense is awful. As good as their offense was, the offensive injuries have hurt them. Now they've traded one of their better targets for Goff. You're not going to win championships. You're not going to win games even with Jared Goff. Their offense was good to start the season. They caught some people by surprise. Their defense is god-awful. It's the worst defense in football. That's not all injuries. And again, everybody has injuries. It can't be an excuse. I gave it a little bit of an excuse to San Diego, but everybody has the injuries, and you just got to figure it out. Dak's not a better quarterback. Not right now, he's not. He's not a better quarterback than Jalen Hurts, healthy or not, right this minute. Now, maybe the end of the season, we can have a discussion. Right? And he's not the third, because he's better than Daniel Jones. And Daniel Jones, I've been hyping myself a lot. Comeback player of the year. Jalen Hurts has surprised the crap out of me. And you got to take the blinders off, guys, as Cowboy fans. And look at this more objectively. Jalen Hurts, I mean, Dak's got. Has Dak won a playoff game? I think he's won one, right? Has he won one? If not, he's got the same number as Jalen Hurts. Four or five in play for OBJ, yes. You know, there's again, but why in week 9, week 10? Is it because he just wants to avoid training camp and he wants to pick a place where he can potentially win? Or is it teams are scared of OBJ? I'm not sure what the answer is. Lenny's still working on your cure. Are you talking to me? Kenny offered me some cure, and I told him if I had a relapse, I'd call him. Drew's NFC North comments. Vikings defense has been the surprise difference to their success. I agree. Their defense has been pretty good. I think the Vikings are maybe the second best team in the NFC. Record-wise, they are. And if Kirk Cousins can just not remember the fact he's Kirk Cousins, this team might surprise people come January. We'll see. Rodgers' attitude is finally caught up with the team. Thank you. I've only been talking about that for 3 years. And by the way, he's got his $50 million, and now I guess I won't complain anymore about the talent around me because I got my money. Bears finally letting, again, similar to what Alan said, the Bears are finally letting Fields see what he can do. And again, this is a kid who's talented. He's an athletic guy. And the Lions are now roaring. The Lions are awful. Who was it, Alan, that picked the Lions to get to the playoffs this year, by the way, as a surprise pick? I picked the Jets. Commanders are a half game out of the playoffs as of now. Thank you. So are the Patriots. So both the teams I'm rooting for now. Well, I don't want to pretend I'm a Redskins fan. Oh, shit. Ooh, I swore too. I got to put about $40 in the coffin now. Kyrie's a loser and just a con artist and a horrible human being and a mental case. The man thinks the earth is flat. I'll repeat my offer. Somebody get this soundbite to Kyrie Irving because I've said it now 6 times. I will pick Kyrie Irving up wherever he wants me to pick him up. I will drive him in whatever direction he wants to go for as long and as far as he wants to go. And I will guarantee him, I'll bet him the rest of his career salary, we will not drive off the end of the earth. We'll get on him. No more baseball, as I think what Kenny means. Kenny is a former baseball player. It's disappointing in your attitude about baseball these days. Listen, my attitude is not the best. It's still a great sport when it's played correctly. It's just so often not played correctly. When you watch a team like the Astros win, it gives me hope. We got to move on to the South. We have to. Let's remember, I will say right now before we even start, I predicted the Tom Brady-led Buccaneers would not make the playoffs. This division is a freaking disaster. He beat you again, Drew, by the way. Falcons running game keeping them ahead. Brady's distraction. It's not just a distraction. Yes, that's part of it. Everybody's got distractions in life and forget about them. I'm not giving him that excuse. He caused this problem, maybe because of distraction. I said going back as far as training camp, he was doing wrong by his team as a leader of that team by staying away from training camp and focusing on the season ahead. And they wouldn't be ready when the bell rang, and I was right. And I had Brady people all over the internet bashing my vlog that I did about this. And, Brady knows what he needs to do to be ready. Brady knows what he needs to be ready to play. Tom Brady has all these issues and distractions. He should have stayed retired. He did the team no favors. He did himself no favors by coming back. I have stuck up for Tom Brady for 20 plus years, and I still love the guy. He's the GOAT. He's the best ever. He should not have played this year under these circumstances. You don't go out and lead a team of men the way he's wanted to do it. Missing training camp, then saying, I think I want Wednesdays off. If you had a marriage you wanted to save, you should have stayed retired or re-retired once you found out your wife was going to leave you once you came back. I don't have sympathy for him in this case. He created the problem. Saints, who knows? Saints are kind of an interesting team. I did pick the Panthers to win this division, so I'm probably not the right guy to talk about. He's still recovering from the injury he got in the Super Bowl. All right, I'll give him that. Drew wants to cover my face up as much as possible here. What the hell is it with the South divisions? Listen, it's quite possible that both these divisions could have teams under 500 win them, the AFC and the NFC. Every team in the NFC version has given up more points than they've scored. Yeah. The Falcons are leading division at 4-4. Well, that's not unusual. It's not so much that they're 4-4. It's who they are. They're not going to finish over 500. This team's not going to finish over 500. Bucks defense has stepped back. Their offense isn't good either. Good, yeah, I know you'll tell me that they've had injuries, but again, they got a bunch of new faces on offense, on the line, on some of the skill, on the wide receivers and tight ends, and Brady should have been there, and he wasn't. Mayfield not the answer in Carolina. There's a lot of other big issues in Carolina besides just Baker Mayfield. That's obvious. All good points though. Dax won 2 playoff games. That's awesome. Not in the same year. I know that. Keith qualifier over. Going to be tasty odds for Grant. Are there bet? Can I bet on this? Can I get on the DraftKings today and bet on this, CA? Congratulations, by the way. Sounds like a lot of fun. So I'm assuming you won, CA, so I'll say congratulations. I'm with Kenny as it relates to basketball. No, he was talking about baseball, though, I think, Rick. I get the basketball thing. That's why one of the reasons I don't get into a lot of basketball here. I talk a little bit about it, and I might get into it. I usually do when something's irritating me, especially like Kyrie Irving. The man's a pencil case. But I think Kenny was talking about baseball. And basketball is hard to watch. Listen, I know I've talked it up. 2 years ago, I was a big supporter of going back, Rick. Watch the Knicks. You'll enjoy it. Well, and they played better this year at times. Still hit and miss. It is hard to watch sometimes. On to the West. Now, we can talk about the South divisions as much as you want. But the 2 West divisions are probably the 2 most disappointing. I keep hearing about, Jimmy G. Well, unless he's playing the Rams, he can't win. They're 4-4. Rams are 3-4, coming up with a huge Super Bowl hangover. Can't run the football. Cooper Kupp's hurt now. I don't know what his status is. Cardinals are very disappointing, 3-5. I got to believe Kingsbury's job's hanging by a thread. And the Seahawks leading the division. Pete Carroll's got to be the coach of the year right now. Geno Smith is, as I believe, the best rating in the NFL for quarterbacks. I said they win 2 games. Now, again, long ways to go, 9 games to play. Only Mark Mancini has a face made for radio. I don't know. Drew wants to keep covering it up. Oh, he got me a little better there. I'm really kidding, Drew. Geno's resurrection at quarterback has been impressive. It hasn't just been impressive. It's been shocking. Now, he's got 2 good wide receivers, obviously, in Metcalf and Lockett. That helps. Their running game has been okay. Big loss with Penny. Defense is not all that great. Their point differential isn't that great, but they're winning football games. They've won 3 in a row. Would I expect this team to come back to earth? I would. But we don't know. 49ers relying on Garoppolo is ironic justice. I don't know about justice. I'm not a big Jimmy Garoppolo fan. Where's Jimmy? The 49ers' faith in Jimmy Garoppolo is not a lack of faith. It's not a new thing. They didn't have any faith in him when they were going to a Super Bowl. Threw the ball 8 times in the NFC Championship game. Threw a big interception in the Super Bowl that changed the momentum of the game. Not a big fan. Rams implosion could have been foreseen. I did pick a rematch of the Super Bowl from last year. I'm still not going to say no. But the fact is, this team scored 118 points. That's the most concerning part of this. The fact that they can't run the football. Why Sony Michel is not on this team is a shock to me. And I just don't get it. The Cards are hanging in, but keep tag teaming their wide receivers with injuries. Again, injuries are part of the game, and their defense is just not up to snuff either. I think Kingsbury might be one of the coaches fired in season. Possible. Oh, that's true again. Comeback player of the year, Saquon Barkley. That's a good one. Saquon's. I want to pat myself on the back because I do, but I do also point out my mistakes, which have been plentiful. But I did say Saquon Barkley would be a difference maker this year and come back and be close to the player he was before he got hurt. It takes a year to overcome that type of injury. Rookie Dameon Pierce, defensive rookie Sauce Gardner. It's too early to make I get this. Defensive player of the year, Micah Parsons. Coach of the year, Dabo will be up there. If the Seahawks keep playing as well as they are, Pete Carroll will be up there. It'll be very interesting. Let's get to the picks for today. Here's where we are, by the way, guys. Can I share this? Should I share this? Let's see if I can do it quick. I think I can. All right, we'll share this quickly. Am I sharing? Hopefully you guys can see this. And then I will go down here. So here's where we are right now. TGI Sport Talks makes a comeback. I still don't know who Scraw28 is. So if somebody knows who he is, pick him out. Excalibur CA, he's moved into second place, only 2 games behind him. Drew's Worthless Picks, doing pretty well, 58 wins. Great job, Drew. Waldo, even traveling all over the world, getting COVID like me. 57 wins. The Boomer Sooners coming back with 55. ESPN fan, I don't remember who this is, but they've been playing. It looks like they played all the games. It looks like it. So I'm not sure who this one is. Somebody's got to point that one out to me. TGI Sports Talk with a comeback here. He was really stinking it up before 10 wins yesterday or last week. Retired pot smoking guy has decided to drop out since ESPN, for whatever reason, doesn't like him and doesn't let him log in once week 9 hits. Headless Horseman, I don't remember. 58-50. The Mad New Yorker, 43-62. Not shocking, Carlos, based on some of our conversations. Rick, you got to get it going, buddy. 33 wins. You stopped picking? You did at some point, didn't you? You haven't picked in weeks. I think that's you. Pedro, not sure who it is. He stopped picking. These guys all stopped picking. So there's where we are. Last week, as I said, S. Craw doing very well, had 10 wins again. Drew had 10. Boomer Sooner had 10. Thought I had. Oh, that's this week. Jesus Christ. Did it again. Sorry. Do this again. Drew's Worthless Picks had 11 winners last week. Great job. TGI Sports Talk with 10. Waldo with 9. Retired Sports Guy with 9. Too bad. You got to get in there, Kenny. Just reset your password or something. I know you can do it. Excalibur with 8. ESPN fan, we still don't know who that is, with 8. S. Cross with 8. Boomer Sooner with 7, and that's enough for now. So I don't know why Rick's not putting in, but let's see what comments we got here. Anything? Pick'em stands and picks for the week. That's where I'm going. I'm going to do my picks right now. ESPN doesn't like you either. What is it with the purse guys? I have no problem. Heavy betting for a long time. UK, EU, last choice. Open betting legally. The time zone difference and struggle. Quality betting. We need to talk. I think I was kidding. I'm not betting on darts, man. All right, let's get into the picks. I'll give you mine as we go along, and I think. Hold on. Am I showing my screen? All right, so you'll see my picks as we go along. And I may make a change. You never know, because I did these like Wednesday, so I don't forget. Already a loser on Philadelphia. I did have Philadelphia Thursday night. Probably most people did. Actually, we had a couple look like Texan pickers. I will take the Chargers -2.5 over the Falcons. I think the Chargers are going to start turning it on here. This may not be the week. They're still without. I did consider changing this pick, but I'm going to go with the Chargers. With Williams and Allen both still out. I was going to change this pick, but I'm going to stick with the Chargers. I'll take the Dolphins despite the problems with probably throwing the football today. -4.5 on the road. Not a big fan of giving up this many points on the road. Went with the Dolphins last week, and it paid off. We'll take the Bengals -8.5, although it's hard to lay 8.5 with this Bengal team with anybody, but the Carolina Panthers are an absolute mess. And guys, we are going to do some college football after this, so we'll probably go past 10:30 for a bit. Where was I? The Lions. I'll take the 3.5. Much as I keep playing down the Lions, Packers are atrocious. Packers have lost what, 4 in a row? 4 in a row. They may win this game, but I think this will be a field goal game, and the Lions I'll take with the points. I will certainly take the Patriots at home, laying 5.5 against the Colts. I may not bet it, only because I don't like to bet the Patriots giving up points, because I don't want to ever be mad I lost money when my team wins. The Bills -13.5. That's a big number on the road for a team that's played as competitively as the Jets have, but I think the Bills are probably just chomping at the bit here. They're coming off their bye week, if I'm not mistaken. And if not, they had one the week before, but I just see this team rolling today. Rick, you won't like me, but I will continue my consistent picking of the team formerly known as the Redskins when they're getting points at home. 3.5 they're getting. This is another game I think the Vikings very well might win the game, but I think this will be a field goal game, or this is a game maybe Kirk Cousins remembers who he is. We'll see. I'm going to take the Jacksonville Jaguars, whatever you want to call them. The Jags. Maybe I'll just make it easy on myself so I don't get, an F in English. I'm going to keep saying it now just because I want to. Anyway, they're getting 1.5 at home over the really bad Raiders. I just got to pick against Josh McDaniel and hope he comes back to New England. I'll take the Cardinals getting 1.5 at home, giving 1.5 at home, not quite believing in that Geno Smith and Seattle magic just yet. This is pretty much a must-win for the Cardinals. I don't think they can afford to fall to 3-6 and fall 3 games behind in a division that very well likely may get one playoff spot. Don't think it's going to happen. I'll continue my weekly stupid pick of taking the Rams. I'll take the Rams +3.5 against the Bucs. I just don't have any faith in either one of these teams, and I'm going to take the quarterback that I think has his head more in the game, Matthew Stafford. Chiefs against the Titans. Again, Malik Willis playing quarterback. I'm going to have to go with Patrick Mahomes in this matchup. I think the Kansas City defense will be able to throw enough at Malik Willis to cause him to turn the ball over a few times, and that will be the difference in this game. And I'll take the Saints getting points at home against Lamar Jackson and the Ravens. So there's my picks. No, I left up CA's comments, so maybe you didn't see all those, but that's my picks for the day. I'm going to stop sharing and come back full screen. Sorry I didn't get in the studio today, by the way, guys. I just didn't feel like getting in the studio, but getting on camera I thought would be enough. So I feel like that. There's Rick still. That's the heavy betting. Where are we? Titans covered the spread. Yeah, I know. no issues with Drew's league. I don't understand it then. If you're logged in for one, you're logged in for one. I have one, unless you've got two different logins. I've got one ESPN login that I'm in 4 different pick'ems, and when I'm logged in, I get into all of them. So I don't know. I wish I could make the picks for you, but I can't. Unfortunately, unless you pay money, you don't have those type of admin rights. Alan picked the Falcons, the Texans, the Falcons, the Bears, the Packers, the Panthers, Patriots, Bills. Don't pick my Patriots. Team formerly known as the Redskins, Raiders, Seahawks, Buccaneers, Titans, and Ravens. Lock, Packers upset the Bears. Not buying that one. I'll give you my lock. I'll give you the 2 teams I'm likely to pick today, to bet today. I'm likely to bet. This is a tough day. That's why I took 4 college games yesterday. I just find this to be a tough game, tough week. I don't know who I'm going to bet. I'm trying to give my bets. I'm going to bet Arizona. Yikes. I might have to bet New England against my better judgment, but it's probably going to be Arizona and the Patriots will be my locks. So my locks are the teams I will pick in the wager on in the cigar box. So we'll see. Tough day yesterday, 4 out of 5 down. Let's move on, guys. We're going to keep going for a little bit. We'll go past 10:30 as much as we have to because I know we got to talk a lot of college football yet. We haven't gotten into it. I know I switched up and went to the NFL first, and maybe we'll do that going forward because I know Drew wants to talk NFL and isn't as interested. And not just for Drew, but for anybody who maybe has more interest in the professional sports than the college sports, we can certainly make some accommodations. College football yesterday, and we've been talking a lot. Let me see what comments we got here before I move on here. Best rundown of members in the league again. I'll give it to you real quick. And if you go to the so first place is S Cross 28, who we don't know who that is. You're in second place by 2. Drew is in third place by 4. Waldo, which is Bill Pulver, is got 57, which is 6 behind you. And you can see the standings when you log in, obviously. Alan is Boomer Sooner, 55. Don't know who ESPN fan 115 blah, blah, blah is. He has not spoken up. I'm TGI Sports Talk, obviously. Retired pot smoker who will be retiring from the competition is Kenny. Headless Horseman, I do not remember who the Headless Horseman is. Mad New Yorker's Carlos. Very sad effort, Carlos. Sorry. Don't know who. A Perth Red Raider is Rick, and he's probably dropping out as well because he can't get his picks in. And I don't know who the rest of these people are, and they stopped picking long ago. So that's kind of it. CA. Jimmy Johnson back in NASCAR. Jimmy Johnson, the racer, or Jimmy Johnson, the football coach? I don't follow NASCAR that much, but I do know who Jimmy Johnson is. Did he retire and come back? Is that the deal? Jimmy Johnson, the football player, by the way, has a new book coming out. I read some excerpts from it in the Post or someplace yesterday, and it looks very interesting. A lot of comments about his relationship then and now with Jerry Jones, some issues he had with Troy Aikman once when he drafted Steve Walsh, his relationship with Dan Marino, the fact that he tried very hard to trade his entire draft for Peyton Manning. Would have been very interesting to see if Peyton Manning had ended up in Miami, how Jimmy's career and the Dolphins' history may have intersected. So just a quick thought about Jimmy Johnson and some stuff going on there. Let's get to yesterday. Yeah. And Drew, if you want to comment on Jimmy Johnson and NASCAR, you certainly can. I'm not trying to be NASCAR biased. I just don't. I don't know. Did I ever follow it? I guess not really. But I know I know the big names in racing. I just don't follow it that close. College football scoreboard yesterday. Some huge upsets. Biggest winners, LSU, agreed, Notre Dame. The Pac-12 is huge. Pac-12 is probably going to have, I don't know. Where's my Pac-12 is likely to have 4 teams in the top 12 when the rankings come out Tuesday night. It's possible. And they've got chaos could happen here, guys. There's nobody. If there's ever, and I said it in the chat we had going on this morning, if there was ever a year for a 12-team playoff, this is it. Anybody could win. Anybody. Don't tell me how good Georgia is. They're good. They're not unbeatable. Ole Miss's chances get hurt yesterday because of Alabama losing again in my mind. So if they beat Alabama, it's going to lose its oomph. I think TCU continues to be a loser in this because they're playing good, they're 8-0 and they put themselves in harm's way pretty much every week, but their wins, most of their wins are being diminished week after week by the way those teams are playing since they beat them. Kansas, Oklahoma, Oklahoma's playing, Oklahoma State. But Georgia, who's Georgia got left? Take a quick look here. Who's Georgia got left? Mississippi State, don't sleep. Kentucky, don't sleep. And Georgia Tech should be a win. Chances are very good for Georgia to go undefeated into the SEC championship game. But there's also a chance. Where'd my standings go? There's also a chance you could have a 2-loss champion in the SEC. They may not get in the playoff. Now, and how are you going to take a 1-loss team behind them? Is it possible the SEC doesn't get any teams in? I'm going to say yes. I can't take a 2-loss SEC championship team if it's Alabama or LSU over a 1-loss Ohio State or 1-loss Michigan or an undefeated TCU. Please don't tell me a 2-loss team gets over in any undefeated champion in a Power 5. Not going to happen. I'm not putting a 2-loss team in over Oregon. 1-loss Oregon. 1-loss USC. So now you become, does the committee take a 1-loss Georgia team? Let's just say theoretically Georgia runs the table, loses the SEC championship game to LSU or Alabama. Very possible the SEC is getting 1 team. Theoretically, they could get none. Thank you, CA. My perspectives are my perspectives, and I don't pretend they're the end-all, be-all, but I'm opinionated and passionate about what I think, and I have a lot of fun getting into it. Let me get back to this. Biggest winners, LSU, Notre Dame, Pac-12, agreed. Losers, Oklahoma State, they've already been a loser, so forget about them. Alabama, definitely. Clemson, definitely. Other teams, I'll get to the rest of your comments. Let me go down these top 25 scores quick, and then we can have a quick comment about some of them. 23 Oregon State loses. They're going to drop out. We talked about Notre Dame not just beating Clemson, but manhandling them. Awful offensive performance for the Clemson Tigers. The ACC will not get a team in this playoff. Tennessee, you don't have them down as a loser yesterday. I got to call them a loser. Now, Tennessee, I don't want to take anything away from Georgia. I don't. Hold on a second. Because Georgia is a really good football team. Kirby Smart's a great defensive coach. Somehow this team, who I believe, if I'm not mistaken, was last in the SEC in quarterback sacks yesterday, gave Hooker drove him crazy. They were in the backfield most of the game. But as bad as that was, Tennessee found themselves inside the 20 a bunch of times and came away without points. Penalty after penalty. How many? I don't know how many. Can I see? The penalties. I don't think they show me on this page here. The penalties were outrageous. Every time I looked up, they had a procedure penalty. Now, this was a tough environment for Tennessee to go into, I understand. But that was a stinker. At the same time, don't discredit or don't dismiss, the fact that this committee, knowing what they do, it's entirely possible Tennessee's number 4 when the votes come out. And they won't fall any further back to where they have a chance to bounce back and win this thing. And don't forget, Georgia lost a regular season game to Alabama last year where they did not look good. Remember? So let's not count Tennessee out of this just yet. But a big loser yesterday for sure. And I'm going to get to your comments, guys, I promise. So keep putting them up there. And we'll carry on this conversation as long as necessary. Not going to post a Roku today, so I'm not worried about the 2-hour limit. Or I'll split the show up. Whatever. Where else was I? Ohio State struggles. I'm not going to, people are going to say, well, no, Ohio State struggled 21-7. They were behind or whatever, on point. Who cares? Tied at halftime, I guess. The weather was atrocious. C.J. Stroud still generated enough offense. He's still going to be the Heisman Trophy leader, I think, or will be now after Hooker's performance yesterday, which, by the way, was, I shouldn't say heroic. He's a tough kid. That kid got the crap beat out of him. But I think C.J. Stroud, he still produced nearly 160 yards of offense, only throwing for 70-some, but enough to win in a very, very tough day to win yesterday. Michigan routs Rutgers after being tied at one point, 52-17. Alabama, big loser. By the way, gutsy call by Brian Kelly at the end of regulation saying, I'm sorry. I think it was his first overtime possession, right? I believe it was the first overtime possession. I was had it on my computer and I was carrying everything upstairs and doing some other things. I think it was the first possession. Alabama scored. LSU scores. Brian Kelly says, let's end it right here. Gutsy call going for 2. LSU, surprisingly, going to be in the hunt for the SEC championship. I do not think in the playoff hunt, guys. Unless other crazy stuff happens. We can start comparing 2-loss teams to 1-loss teams. We talked about this in the chat earlier. Please don't start comparing 2-loss teams to no-loss teams. That can't happen. Not in this 4-loss, not in this 4-team playoff. Run out of gas. TCU, another comeback win. They keep putting themselves in jeopardy every week. This can be a plus and a minus. It gives you the sense that we're never out of a game, which is a really good thing. Builds confidence. But when you run up against a good team that's better than you, that's more talented than you, that's more physical than you, and you fall behind, it's not going to be the same type of thing coming back. Oregon, 49-10 over Colorado. Oregon hasn't just come back and started winning games. They've been demolishing people offensively, defensively. Lanning has done a great job in his first year there, despite the loss to Georgia in week 1. Will it hurt them? I guess it could. If they end up a one-loss, if they run the table and win the Pac-12 with one loss, I don't know. I mean, unless you're comparing them head-to-head with Georgia, maybe that game will matter. The game happened so long ago, it won't matter. USC ekes out another one, 41-35 over Cal. Not a great win, but wins are wins. UCLA, 50-36 against Arizona State. A lot of defense being played here. A lot of talk a few weeks back about this Chip Kelly team being physical and that being their identity. I'm not seeing it lately, but listen, they're 8-1 as well. Big showdown coming up soon with USC. Texas, 6-3 now. They beat Kansas State, another team TCU beat. So again, these TCU wins are all getting diminished a little bit, and they're going to hurt them. And I think it's even possible they aren't number 4 this week. I think they will be. But it's possible they're still going to be 5 behind Tennessee. Possible. Utah rolls over Arizona State. They're going to get themselves back maybe in that top 12, maybe. Penn State 45-14. Of course, they were playing Indiana. Let's see what happens. Well, we already saw what happens when they play Ohio State and Michigan, didn't we? Michigan State with a nice win. And by the way, I'm going to have some comments about this, and I'm going to talk about this right now, and you guys can put some comments up if you want. That whole battle with Michigan State in the tunnel, ridiculous. Those kids should be suspended, not indefinitely, forever. And stop. Shannon Noonan, who I don't know if Shannon's watching. Shannon sometimes watches, but Shannon's a good guy, good friend. And he had a great post this week about how stop blaming the tight tunnel and that the school put these kids in and caused this situation because they have this tight tunnel, blah, 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 blah. This is a perfect example of why sports are important in this country and why kids need to learn how to lose and lose with dignity and class and not get into freaking fistfights in a tunnel. Don't blame the small tunnel. Blame parents, blame coaches, blame whoever, blame the kids, blame whoever you want. Don't blame the schools. Stupid. North Carolina going to be very alive for the ACC championship, 31-28. Who knows? This team, if the craziness continues, they could find themselves fighting for a playoff with one loss. Not a good team, by the way. Great offense. Love May. I love the quarterback here. I think he's a true freshman. Maybe he's a redshirt freshman, but May is just a great, great, great player. Kansas comes back. They're going to be bowl eligible for the first time in God knows how long since Mark Mangini was there. Probably 37-16 over Oklahoma State, who continues to tumble. Tulsa loses to Tulane. Tulane 8-1. Best mid-major out there, going to be looking at a New Year's Day bowl game. Syracuse loses again, 19-9 to Pittsburgh. Wake Forest loses again to NC State. The ACC is deep. The ACC's got a lot of parity. Something the Mad New Yorker loves, parity. In college, he calls it bad football, though. US and UCF, who I like a lot, 35-28 over Memphis. So that's your top 25. How's it going to affect? How does this affect the rankings? Let me throw that out there. I'll give you my top 4 ranking right now. Here's my 4 ranking. Then I'm going to tell you how I think they're going to come out. Georgia number 1, Ohio State number 2. This is mine. Ohio State number 2, Michigan 3, TCU 4. Tennessee 5. Oregon 6. I'll give you my first 6. I think the committee will go Georgia, Ohio State, Michigan, Tennessee. And it doesn't matter, guys. It'll play itself out. TCU and Oregon. That's just what I think the committee will do. Now we'll get to your comments. All right. Got that. Georgia. What did I say about Georgia? Of course, we talked about Georgia. What about a little more information, Rick Sherlock? I'm from Perth, but I'm not a mind reader. Alan feels that if Oklahoma or Texas had TCU's record, here we go again, and a resume, they would be a top 4 team by default. I don't necessarily agree. The Big 12 is the problem here. The Big 12 is the problem here. You may be right, but again, first of all, I'm dismissing part of TCU's credibility because of the way the teams they've beaten have played since they beat them. The league's not that good. The league's not good. The league wouldn't be any better if Oklahoma and Texas were replacing TCU and everything else remained the same. So I don't know if I agree. I mean, would name recognition help them a little bit? Of course it would. Is there some bias here? Of course there is. But that's just the name of the game. And look at TCU controls their own destiny, Alan. If they win out, they're in. There's no way they're not in. Who gets in before them if they win out? Who? They're not taking, assuming, I mean, they're not taking a one-loss non-conference championship over TCU. They're not. Ohio State and Michigan, one of them's going to lose. Georgia might very well lose in the SEC championship game. Even if Tennessee's ahead of them, it's still going to play itself out. If TCU takes care of business and wins out and as good as you think they are, and they very well may be. I love the team. I love Sonny Dykes. I've talked Sonny Dykes up for years since he was at Fresno State. Did great things at SMU. Dugan's a great quarterback. They play exciting brand of football. If they take care of business and win out, they'll be in the playoff. That's all. CA may be a non-believer. I'm not so sure they're as good as what we think they are, Alan. That's the point. Oregon should be in or at least ranked 5. I think they'll be 6, but I can't argue. It's when we get to listen, you could make an argument they should be number 4, right? Why can't I make that argument? I'm saying it's going to be Tennessee. They also lost. Well, they didn't lose. They were the number 1 team, but Georgia was ranked number 1 in the other polls. So you could say the same thing about Tennessee, and they didn't lose as badly. But Oregon's loss is so long ago, it's going to have less of an impact. This loss will have more of an impact. I do think it's entirely possible Tennessee's still number 4. I make an argument they could be 4, or Oregon, 5, 6. This week's rankings still don't matter. None of them are going to matter. There's so much football to play. Team like TCU, Oregon might have more of a problem. Oregon's got to win out. There's no doubt about it. USC, UCLA, all got to win out in the Pac-12. If they win out, they'll have a chance. And you might end up with some arguments, depending on what else happens. But a team like TCU, they're in if they win. So just win your games and don't worry about it. Why do you care about the polls today? If I'm TCU, why do I care about the polls? Disrespect me, then use it as motivation. Well, again, this is what I started to say before. If Tennessee, well, it's going to be very hard. If the only way I see this happening, I don't think Tennessee can get it over the conference champion. I don't think so. Georgia could. Possibly. Georgia goes undefeated to the SEC championship, plays a 2-loss LSU, a 2-loss Alabama, and loses. Maybe the committee takes Georgia first. I think Tennessee, let's see. What can Tennessee still get in the playoff? Where are they? They're in the same division as, well, they could, but I mean, they're 2 games behind technically, right? Probably not going to happen. Georgia's not losing 2 games. So technically they're 2 games behind Georgia since they lost to Georgia. I don't see any way Tennessee can get in. I think they'll be ranked 4th this week, but I don't think they can get in. Special team comments before, I've talked about this probably for the last couple of years, if not longer now, and a lot this year, Rick, that special teams are just a joke. The teams even practice special teams. You see missed extra points all over the place, blocked kicks, penalties on returns are out through the roof. I don't doubt the fact that LSU's kicker missing an extra point in the very first game against Florida State that lost the game for them had played in his decision to go for 2 at the end of that game last night. Not enough emphasis, probably on every level. I don't watch a lot of high school football as I used to when I had people involved. But on every level, college and pros especially, teams don't pay enough attention to special teams. And special teams so often make the difference in these games that sometimes the difference in these teams is so razor thin. Paying attention to special teams in detail and paying attention to penalties and keeping them to a minimum. Tennessee killed themselves yesterday with penalties all over the frickin' field. Even if they lose, I don't know. You got to tell me. I'm not sure, Alan, where this even if they lose comes from. Yeah, I got you. Yeah. So if you got more you want to elaborate, Rick, I mean, yeah, it's awful. It is awful. And it's costing teams big time in big moments in big games. Rolling with the Red Zone of regional coverage with this weekend's RV and campfires, warm and cold. You know what? I envy you, CA. I'd love to be doing that. So you got the Red Zone. Somehow you can watch. I love the Red Zone channel, by the way. When I don't have the Red Zone at the moment because I don't have a streaming service that has it, which I may be changing soon. But when I had the Red Zone, the only game I watched the entire game of was the Patriots. I would watch the Red Zone all the time. All the time. I remember him crying at the following. He didn't start a fight, though. And he was a kid. I'm sorry, Shannon. You got to forgive us. He already hates us, Perth guys. Kenny didn't have a run on me. Kenny saw him at a golf tournament we played in earlier in the spring. Shannon's a good guy. Oh, hope he doesn't catch that. I shouldn't have put that up. Sorry, Shannon. Shannon's been checking in on me on my health as well this week. So, expanded playoff would have given Tulane a playoff bid. Maybe, Alan. We don't know that. Remember, right now, so the first poll, they were what, 19? let's see who they'll move ahead this week. They'll move ahead of Illinois. They'll move ahead of Oklahoma State. They're not moving ahead of Alabama. They're going to move like 17. It's going to be it would be very hard. Oh, no, wait, because we're talking about the conference champions, right? I'm doing this wrong. So what is it? The top 6 conference champions, correct? So that would they be in? Yeah, good point. This is the most wide open. I'm telling you, Georgia, and there ain't no record. Ohio State, and there ain't no record. Maybe come December, I look stupid, but I'm telling you, this year is more wide open than it's ever been. This would have been a great year for it to expand to 12 because who knows what would have happened. Georgia, Michigan, interesting. I don't see Michigan jumping Ohio State. And I'll say, again, I say Tennessee or TCU should be 4. I think it'll be Tennessee, but it won't matter. It won't matter. TCU, it doesn't, if TCU is 8 this week, it would not matter. They just need to win out. If they win out, they'll be in. Guaranteed. I mean, otherwise, we just got a couple of little discrepancies there. I'm not going all the way to 10 for now. I mean, we'll look at it Wednesday night a little deeper. NCAA analytical projection scenarios are given to the committee, and they basically vote on one. The show just has begun. I agree. There's a lot to go. We still got 3 more rankings, I think, right? So, lot still to come. So. All right, guys, I'm going to give you, we got 9, well, I got as much time as I want left, but I'm going to say we got like 8 minutes left. If you guys got some stuff you want to throw out there, let me just look at the college football home. Any other news? Let me talk about Texas Tech. Texas Tech loses again, their 5th or 6th loss in a row. And a lot of talk about Jimbo Fisher getting fired. And I've talked about this, I think, on the college football huddle a couple of weeks ago. Jimbo Fisher's not getting fired. And I know there was a couple comments about all those oil men, they got deep pockets and it's nothing for them. $86 million is not nothing to anybody. If he got bought out of an $86 million contract, I'd be the most shocked guy in the world. And I will tell you, I just don't know anything. And I'll never make a prediction again. He's not getting fired. And a lot of these schools are putting themselves in the same position. Michigan State, Mel Tucker, all his money's guaranteed. James Franklin, all his money's guaranteed. Brian Kelly, I think, all his money guaranteed. This has been the trend. So now what happens is if you make a mistake, you've saddled your football team for a decade of mediocre football, potentially because you made a bad choice. Maybe not a decade, because there becomes a point where you can buy them out. But it'll be years before you can do it. I mean, most of these buyouts now are like $10 or $15 million. To get to that point with Jimbo Fisher, you got to wait another 8 years. What other takeaways from yesterday? Anything else of note I should be taking a look at here? Big Ten's 2 dream. I don't know. Does the Big Ten 2 dream fade? I mean, to me, Michigan and Ohio State, if they play a close, really good, close game, and they both remain undefeated, why can't the Big Ten have 2 teams and not the SEC? How is the SEC guaranteed 2 teams when Tennessee most likely eliminated itself because they can't get to the SEC championship game? If you had a 12 or 16 team playoff, well, then, yeah, Tennessee's in. In a 14 playoff, they can't be in. One loss team doesn't make their conference championship game, beats a one-loss Pac-10-12 championship team? No. Should they lose a one-loss team that lost their conference championship team in the Big Ten? No. Saw a great picture today. Again, another Facebook meme I saw today. It was a picture of Bobby. I don't know how many of you guys watched King of the Hill. It was a great cartoon by Matt Judge. It was a great show. But Bobby was the little boy. And they show Bobby and then Josh Heupel. And this Bobby all grown up. It was very funny. Sorry, Tennessee people. All right, guys. I don't know. I'm running out of gas. Clemson, ACC, they're out. TCU got much needed help but faces lingering concerns. TCU doesn't need to worry. Win your games. How many times I got to just say it? Oh, my God. What do you got, CA? Best deal going Sling with added sports pack. You know my problem with Sling, and I got away from it. I tested it or test drove it. They don't have the Yes Network. I've got to have the Yes Network in the fall. Now, maybe I could go back and forth, right? In the fall, I'll go back, or in the spring, I'll go back to Yes. But I got to have the Yes Network. I cannot live without Yes. Coach Gifford would be proud of me today. Ugh. I'm starting to lose steam, and I'm going to be heading to my recliner right after we wrap it up here, which is going to be probably right now here. Stream to your schedule. No, I like, listen, there's a gazillion options out there. My problem is, yes, I can't get with except DirecTV stream, which I have now. So that's one of the reasons I've stuck with it. Even though the price has gone from when I started it and I went, I cut the cord on all my cable and returned all my cable boxes and blah, blah, blah. I went from paying $35 a month to now it's $100 a month. This is in just 3 years. So no good deed goes unpunished. I'm going to get ready to wrap it up here, guys. Come on, any music, hold on. What do you got here? We got a couple more comments before I go. Yes, loved Mike and the Mad Dog, but they're done. Long time now. They were great, though. They were a great team. It was a great afternoon drive show. And but I got to get it for the Yankees. That's what I have to have it for. So we got to have it. Guys, I thank all of you again for showing up and helping me out get through today and with your support through this last week, checking in on me. All of you, and really didn't know you were sick. Hope you're doing better yourself. It's been a long road here, but I'm feeling much better, as you can tell. You may not can tell how much out of gas I am right now, but I've had a blast getting back into the swing here with you guys. We'll take it a little easy this week, but we're getting better every day. Guys, enjoy the pro football. Thanks, Drew. Great to be back. It'll be a good week of football. Everybody, enjoy the NFL today. Get ready for those college rankings come Tuesday, and we'll have much to argue about come Tuesday night or Wednesday night, the college football. And by then, mostly my COVID pod will have cleared up just a little. Keith Engel, TGI Sports Talk, college. I'm a college football. What is it? No, stream of consciousness. TGI Sports Talk. Stream of consciousness. Have a great day. See ya Wednesday night, I hope.